There comes a moment in every grown person's life when they quietly realize something painful. The more desperately you try to be loved, the more invisible you become. Not immediately, not in dramatic ways. At first, people appreciate you. They thank you for always being there, for answering every call, for forgiving every mistake, for understanding every silence, for staying, even after being hurt. But slowly something changes. Your kindness stops feeling special. Your presence becomes expected. Your sacrifices become normal. And one day, without anyone saying it out loud, you realize something terrifying. People have grown comfortable with the idea that no matter how they treat you, you will stay. That is one of the cruelest truths about human nature. The person who fears losing others too much usually becomes the one others fear losing the least. And perhaps that is why so many middle-aged souls carry a quiet exhaustion inside them. Not because life defeated them, but because they spent too many years trying to earn love through endurance. They endured disrespect, endured emotional neglect, endured loneliness inside relationships, endured being misunderstood, endured being taken for granted, all because somewhere deep inside, they believed leaving would make them unlovable. Rain was falling softly over the old city that evening. The streets glowed under dim yellow lamps. Cars moved slowly through puddles reflecting broken pieces of light. People hurried home carrying groceries. Exhaustion, unfinished thoughts. Inside a small coffee shop near the train station sat a man named Dae-hyun, 52 years old, gray beginning to gather near his temples, shoulders heavy from decades of responsibility. He had spent most of his life being dependable. Dependable husband, dependable father, dependable employee, dependable friend. The kind of man people called whenever something went wrong. And for many years, he mistook being needed for being valued. The waitress placed a cup of black coffee in front of him. "Long day?" she asked softly. He smiled politely. "Long life." She laughed gently and walked away. But he wasn't joking. Outside the window, rain slid down the glass in slow, crooked lines. Dae-hyun stared at them silently. His son barely spoke to him anymore. His wife had become emotionally distant years ago. At work, younger employees respected his usefulness, but no longer saw him as important. And the strangest part was this. The more he gave, the less visible he felt. A message suddenly appeared on his phone. "Can you help me again tomorrow?" No greeting, no concern, no appreciation, just another request. Dae-hyun looked at the screen for several seconds before locking the phone again. For the first time in years, he felt tired in a different way. Not physically, spiritually. There is a kind of fatigue that sleep cannot cure. The fatigue of constantly proving your worth to people who only notice your absence when you stop giving. Across the cafe sat an old man reading quietly near the window. Simple coat, silver hair, calm eyes. At some point, the old man spoke without looking up from his book. People only notice the ceiling when the roof starts leaking. Dae-hyun looked over, slightly confused. The old man closed the book slowly. "You've spent too many years protecting everyone from discomfort," he said. "So now they think comfort is your duty." The words landed heavily, not because they were cruel, but because they were true. Dae-hyun gave a tired smile. "Is kindness a mistake then?" The old man shook his head. "No, but making your entire existence about being useful to others is." Silence settled between them. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. The old man stirred his tea gently. Human beings rarely fear losing what is always available. He looked out the rain-covered window. That's why some people spend their entire lives trying harder and harder to be appreciated, only to become easier and easier to replace. Dae-hyun lowered his eyes. Memories rose quietly inside him. The overtime shifts he accepted without complaint. The vacations he canceled for work. The arguments he avoided to keep peace at home. The apologies he made even when he wasn't wrong. He thought all of it would build love. Instead, it slowly erased his boundaries. And once people stop seeing your boundaries, They stop seeing your value. The old man leaned back slightly. Do you know why calm people are often the hardest to forget? Dae-hyun shook his head. Because they are not trying to hold anyone. The cafe grew quieter as the rain intensified outside. People who desperately cling create pressure, the old man continued. But people who can walk away peacefully create gravity. Dae-hyun stared at him. Gravity? Yes. Some people entered a room loudly and demanded attention. Others barely spoke. Yet everyone felt their presence. Not because they were richer, not because they were more attractive, but because they carried something rare. Inner stability. The kind of stability that says, I appreciate connection, but I will not abandon myself to keep it. The old man smiled faintly. Most people misunderstand attraction. They think attraction comes from pleasing everyone, explaining everything, being endlessly available. He shook his head slowly. No, that only teaches people you can always be reached, always be used, always be forgiven. Outside, a train passed through the city with a long metallic roar. The old man continued. Real presence comes from depth, from emotional discipline, from having a life that does not collapse when someone leaves. Dae-hyun felt something tighten in his chest, because for years, his emotional world had depended entirely on how others treated him. A compliment could brighten his week. A cold response could ruin his sleep. He had unknowingly handed other people ownership over his inner peace. And that is one of the most dangerous things a human being can do. The old man looked directly at him now. When a person fears abandonment too much, they begin negotiating away their dignity. Those words pierced deeper than anything else that night. Because Dae-hyun remembered every moment he stayed silent to avoid losing someone. Every time he tolerated disrespect. Every time he accepted less than he deserved. Every time he betrayed his own feelings just to preserve a connection. People often call this loyalty, but sometimes it is fear wearing the mask of love. The rain finally began to slow. The cafe lights reflected softly against the wet pavement outside. The old man spoke again, quieter this time. The strongest people are not those who never feel lonely. They are the ones who refuse to destroy themselves trying to escape loneliness. Dae-hyun closed his eyes briefly. In middle age, loneliness changes shape. It is no longer simply being alone. It is sitting at dinner beside people who no longer see you. It is answering messages only when someone needs something. It is realizing your exhaustion has become invisible. And many adults continue living like this for decades. Not because they enjoy suffering, but because they are terrified that if they stop overgiving, nobody will stay. The old man stood slowly and put on his coat. Before leaving, he said one final thing. Never beg people to recognize your value. If your absence changes nothing, your presence was never truly respected. Then he walked into the rain and disappeared into the moving city lights. Dae-hyun sat there for a very long time. Something inside him had shifted. Not anger, not bitterness, clarity. For the first time in years, he understood that peace does not come from being needed by everyone. It comes from no longer needing everyone's approval. Days passed, then weeks. Slowly, Dae-hyun changed small things. He stopped replying immediately to every message. Stopped apologizing for having boundaries. Stopped explaining every personal decision. At first, people reacted badly. Some called him distant. Some called him selfish. Some grew uncomfortable. Because the moment you stop overextending yourself, the people benefiting from your self-neglect often become upset. But something unexpected also happened. Dae-hyun began sleeping better. His mind became quieter. His chest felt lighter. He laughed more naturally. And most importantly, he no longer felt desperate to be chosen. That desperation had poisoned him for years without him realizing it. The desperate need to be understood, to be appreciated, to be irreplaceable. But human beings cannot force others to value them. They can only build a life whose absence becomes meaningful. One evening, months later, Dae-hyun returned to the same cafe. The waitress smiled warmly. You seem different. He looked outside at the quiet city lights. Maybe I finally stopped chasing people who were comfortable losing me. The waitress nodded slowly as if she understood more than she said. Outside, winter wind moved through the streets. People hurried through life carrying invisible burdens. Financial pressure, aging parents, broken marriages, silent disappointments, fear of growing old unnoticed. And somewhere inside all of that, many adults are still secretly asking the same question. How do I become someone people truly value? But perhaps the wiser question is different. How do I stop abandoning myself just to avoid losing others? Because the truth is, the people who leave the deepest impressions are rarely the loudest. They are the ones who remain calm in chaos, the ones who do not beg, the ones who carry quiet self-respect, the ones who can love deeply without collapsing when love is not returned. Ancient wisdom understood something modern people often forget. What makes someone unforgettable is not how tightly they hold on. It is how fully they remain themselves. A flower does not chase butterflies. It simply blooms. And maybe that is the deepest lesson hidden inside human relationships. The more desperately you ask to be loved, the more fragile your spirit becomes. But when you build a life with depth, discipline, peace, purpose, and self-respect, people begin to feel something different in your presence. Not pressure, not neediness, not emotional hunger, but calm. And calm is rare in this world. That is why truly grounded people are unforgettable, even in silence, even in absence, even after they walk away. Because in the end, the people who leave the deepest emptiness behind are usually the ones who never begged anyone to stay.